twisted love when she came back, but I moved on. The house still smelled like her. I didn't know why. It had been almost a year since Jenny packed up her things and walked out the door, choosing another man over the life we built together. I'd scrubbed the floors, washed the sheets, even bought a new couch. And yet, some nights, I swore I could still catch the faintest trace of her perfume in the air. Maybe it was all in my head. The thought clung to me as I pulled into my driveway, stepping out of my car with my gym bag slung over my shoulder. My body ached from the 3-hour karate session. Every muscle burned, my knuckles throbbed, and there was a dull pain in my ribs from a poorly blocked kick. I liked the pain, though. It reminded me I was still here, still moving forward. Training was my salvation. Without it, I might have drowned in the silence Jenny left behind. I walked up the steps to my porch, already reaching into my pocket for my keys when I saw her. Angela. She was sitting on the wooden swing, one leg crossed over the other, her foot bouncing lightly in the air. She wore jeans and a snug green sweater that clung to her curves. Her dark brown hair pulled into a loose ponytail. A half smile tugged at her lips as she lifted a hand in greeting. "Hey, stranger." I stopped in my tracks, blinking at her as my mind raced to catch up. Angela, Jenny's best friend. The one person I hadn't expected to see sitting on my porch like she belonged there. I hadn't seen her since the divorce. Not once. "What are you doing here?" I asked, too tired to dance around the obvious. Angela tilted her head, as if considering the question. I asked myself that exact thing about 20 minutes ago." She grinned. "But since I'm already here, what do you say? Want to buy a girl a beer?" I hesitated, my fingers tightening around the strap of my gym bag. Jenny's best friend. My ex-wife's closest confidant. This should have felt wrong, but for some reason it didn't. I exhaled and jerked my head toward the door. "Come on in. I need a shower first, though." Angela followed me inside, her boots clicking softly against the hardwood floors. The house felt different with her in it, less empty, less haunted by memories. She wandered toward the kitchen while I tossed my gym bag onto a chair, peeling off my sweat-drenched hoodie. "Still drinking that cheap beer?" she called over her shoulder. I smirked. "Only the finest." I disappeared into the bathroom, turning on the shower and letting the hot water work its magic on my sore muscles. As I washed, I thought about Angela. She was different from Jenny in every way that mattered. Jenny had been tall, blonde, and effortlessly poised. The kind of woman who turned heads in a crowded room. Angela was shorter, cavia, with dark eyes that always held a spark of mischief. And yet, they'd been inseparable. I shut off the water, dried off, and threw on a fresh t-shirt and jeans before heading to the kitchen. Angela was already seated at the counter, 2 open beers in front of her. She slid one toward me as I walked in. "Thanks," I said, taking a sip. She studied me for a moment, her expression unreadable. "So, how have you been, Nick?" I let out a dry chuckle. "You really want to know?" She gave me a look. "I wouldn't be here if I didn't." I sighed, leaning against the counter. "I've been busy. Work, training, trying to keep my head above water." Angela nodded. "Karate, huh? You always talked about getting serious about it." "Yeah, got a tournament coming up in Columbus." Her eyebrows lifted. "Impressive." She took a sip of her beer, then set it down. "Listen, I know this might be weird, me being here, but I don't know. I missed you." I studied her, searching for the catch. "Angela, if this is about Jenny." "It's not," she interrupted, shaking her head. "I swear, this isn't about her. It's about you." I stared at her, unsure whether to believe her. But Angela held my gaze, steady and unflinching. She wasn't lying. For the first time in months, I felt something shift inside me. A break in the monotony. A crack in the walls I'd built. Maybe this wasn't a mistake. Maybe it was exactly what I needed. The next few weeks fell into an easy rhythm, though I wasn't sure how it happened. Angela and I just started spending time together. At first, it was little things, grabbing a drink after work, watching a baseball game at my place. Then she started dropping by unannounced, like she'd always belonged in my life. I come home from the dojo, exhausted, and there she'd be, sitting on my porch steps with 2 beers, greeting me with that easy smile. I'm starting to think you don't have a life, I joked one night, grabbing the cold bottle from her hand. She smirked, says the guy who punches and kicks things for fun. I chuckled and took a long sip, letting the bitter fizz of the beer settle on my tongue. The summer air was warm, thick with the scent of fresh-cut grass. Angela stretched her legs out, the porch light casting a glow over her bare skin. "You training hard?" she asked. "Every damn day." She glanced at me, brushing a strand of dark hair behind her ear. "I don't get it. What's the goal? I mean, I know you're doing the tournament, but why?" It was a simple question, but I felt its weight. I leaned back, rolling the bottle between my fingers. "Because when I fight, I don't think about anything else," I admitted. "No past, no regrets. Just movement. Just action." Angela was quiet for a moment, then nodded. "I get that." She said it like she really did, like she knew what it was to escape something. That was how it always was with Angela. Effortless conversations, teasing that never felt forced, silences that weren't awkward. She never pried about Jenny, never asked me if I still missed her. If she was here to play spy for my ex, she was doing a damn good job pretending she wasn't. One Saturday, she showed up wearing an old baseball jersey that swallowed her frame, a Yankees cap pulled low over her dark hair. "Want to get out of here?" she asked. "Where to?" She grinned. "Ball game. I got us tickets." She drove us to the minor league stadium just outside of town, the air filled with the scent of roasted peanuts and sizzling hot dogs. We sat in the nosebleeds, laughing as she heckled the pitcher. "You gonna throw a real pitch, or should I come down there and show you how it's done?" she shouted, cupping her hand around her mouth. People turned. I shook my head, laughing. "Jesus, Angie." "What?" "I'm helping." She winked at me, then stuffed a handful of popcorn into her mouth. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about the past. I wasn't analyzing whether this was right or wrong. I was just there with her, and it felt good. When the game ended, we walked back to her car under the bright glow of the stadium lights. She tossed me the keys. "Want to drive?" I raised an eyebrow. "Since when do you let anyone drive your car?" "Since I had 3 beers, genius." I smirked, unlocking the doors. As we climbed inside, something shifted between us. Maybe it was the intimacy of the night, the shared laughter, or the way she sat close, her knee brushing against mine. I didn't know what this was, whether it was friendship or something tiptoeing toward the edge of something more. But I knew one thing. Angela wasn't just filling the empty spaces in my life. She was becoming something else entirely. And that terrified me. The moment I stepped inside Angela's apartment, I knew something was different. The kitchen table, usually cluttered with mail and half-empty coffee cups, was neatly set with a white tablecloth. 2 wine glasses sat side by side, filled just enough to catch the light of the flickering candles in the center. The scent of something rich and buttery filled the air, garlic, maybe rosemary. The whole scene was warm, intimate. And then there was Angela. She wasn't in her usual jeans or that oversized sweatshirt she loved. Instead, she wore a short black skirt that hugged her hips and a pale blue sweater that made her eyes look impossibly bright. Her dark hair, usually tied back in a ponytail, tumbled in loose waves around her shoulders. My pulse did something strange. "Damn, Angie," I said, trying to sound casual. "Are we going somewhere fancy and I didn't get the memo?" She laughed, but there was a nervous edge to it. "No, I just felt like dressing up a little tonight." I wanted to ask why, but something in her expression made me hold back. Instead, I let my eyes linger on her for just a second too long before stepping forward. "It smells incredible in here," I said, inhaling deeply. "What are we having?" "Chicken piccata," she said, turning to the stove. "It's almost done." She moved gracefully, reaching for a wooden spoon, stirring the sauce in slow, deliberate motions. The golden light of the kitchen brushed against her skin, highlighting the curve of her neck, the delicate line of her jaw. I swallowed hard. What the hell was happening to me? For weeks, Angela and I had been friends. good friends. But tonight, this didn't feel like friendship. This felt like something unspoken, something neither of us was ready to admit out loud. And the way she glanced at me, quickly and then away, like she was afraid of what I might see in her eyes, I wasn't imagining that. Dinner passed in a blur. The food was delicious, but I barely tasted it. I was too aware of how close she was, how the candlelight softened her features, how the scent of her perfume mixed with the citrus and butter from the meal. We talked, we laughed, we drank. And then, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, she led me to the living room. Soft music played from her speaker, something slow and low, the kind of song that wraps around you and lingers. Angela sank onto the couch, tucking her legs under her, and patted the spot beside her. I hesitated. I could leave right now, say goodnight, drive home, and pretend tonight was just another evening. Or I could stay. I sat down. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The only sound was the faint hum of the music, the distant murmur of cars passing outside. Angela exhaled, almost like she'd been holding her breath. Then she turned to me, her dark eyes searching mine. "Nick," she said softly. There was something in her voice, uncertainty, maybe fear. I felt it too, that charged space between what we were and what we could be. I swallowed. "Yeah." She bit her lip, hesitated, then reached out, her fingers brushing against my hand. Light, barely a touch, but it was enough. I caught her wrist, stopping her. "Angela, if you start this, be sure." She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned in, her lips just a breath away from mine. "I've been sure for a long time," she whispered. Then she kissed me. The moment her lips met mine, something inside me cracked open. Her hand slid up my chest, fingers curling into my shirt. The kiss was slow at first, testing, learning. But then I cupped the back of her neck and deepened it, and she melted against me with a soft sigh. Heat surged through me. God, it had been so long. Too long since I'd felt a woman like this, soft and warm, pressing into me like she belonged there. My hands found her waist, then her hips, pulling her closer. Her body molded against mine, her breath hitching as I traced my fingers over the curve of her back. It was effortless. It was electric. It was everything I hadn't realized I needed. And then, she pulled away. Abruptly, like something had burned her. Her breath was ragged, her eyes wide, almost panicked. She stared at me, lips still slightly parted, fingers trembling where they clutched at my shirt. "Angela," my voice was hoarse. "What's wrong?" She shook her head. I can't." Before I could say anything, she shot up from the couch and bolted to the bathroom, slamming the door shut behind her. I sat there, heart hammering, every nerve in my body still lit up from the kiss. I had no idea what the hell had just happened. But I knew one thing for sure. Nothing between Angela and me would ever be the same again. The next morning, Angela was gone. Not just from my bed. She was nowhere to be found. No text, no call, nothing. I sat in my car outside her apartment for nearly an hour, debating whether to knock. My fingers hovered over my phone screen, rereading the last messages I'd sent her. "Angela, we need to talk. Please." Nothing but silence. A part of me wanted to believe she needed space, that maybe she was embarrassed about how she bolted after kissing me. But the way she looked at me before running off, the panic, the regret, it gnawed at me like an open wound. By Monday, frustration had settled into my bones. I wasn't the type to chase people, but Angela wasn't just anyone. She had waltzed into my life again, flipped my world upside down, and now, nothing. Davis met me at our usual bar after work. He took one look at my scowl and ordered 2 whiskeys. "All right, spill," he said. I swirled the glass in my hand, watching the amber liquid catch the dim light. Angela kissed me. His brows shot up. "And that's bad, Hal." Because right after, she ran out of the room like she'd seen a ghost. Locked herself in the bathroom. I haven't heard from her since. Davis whistled. "Damn, that's dramatic." I downed the whiskey, the burn settling deep in my chest. I don't get it, man. We were hanging out for weeks. She wanted this. I know she did. Then suddenly, she's gone. Davis leaned back, considering. Sounds like she's dealing with something. I scoffed. No kidding. But what? If she regretted it, fine. Just say so. But radio silence? That's bullshit. He nodded, then tilted his glass toward me. Only one way to find out, brother. I gritted my teeth. He was right. If Angela wasn't going to give me answers, I'd get them myself. I tried once more before showing up at her door. My fingers drummed against the steering wheel as I stared at her apartment building, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the street. One more time. I pulled out my phone, tapped her contact, and hit call. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then, to my surprise, she picked up. Angela, I said immediately. Silence. I could hear her breathing, shallow and hesitant. Talk to me, I urged. If you don't want this, just say it. But don't leave me in the dark. More silence. Then, finally a whisper. Nick, I can't. A sharp pang shot through me. Can't what? I need time. The words were fragile, but something about them felt off, like an excuse, a way to push me away without really saying why. I clenched my jaw. Damn it, Angela. Time for what? A shaky breath on the other end. I have to go. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, my pulse hammering. Something wasn't right, and I was done waiting for answers. That night, I threw myself into training with an aggression I hadn't felt in years. Every punch, every kick, every drop of sweat felt like a way to rid myself of the frustration curling inside me. But it didn't help. Not really. Angela had gotten under my skin. By the end of the week, the irritation had simmered into something else, determination. If she wasn't going to tell me what was going on, I'd find out myself. I was going to see her, and this time, she wouldn't run. Angela had been avoiding me for nearly 2 weeks. I wasn't the type to chase, but something about the way she pulled away that night haunted me. The way her lips trembled against mine, the way her hands clung to me like she wanted me more than anything, only to shove me away like she was terrified of it. I needed answers. That's how I found myself parked outside her apartment on a cool Saturday afternoon, gripping the steering wheel like it held the key to understanding her. For the first time in months, I wasn't thinking about my karate tournament, my broken marriage, or even the scars Jenny had left on me. All I could think about was Angela. I climbed out of the car and marched to her door. My heart pounded as I knocked. Silence. I knocked again, louder this time. A shadow moved behind the peephole. A long pause. Then, finally, her voice, muffled and uncertain. Nick, I can't see you right now. Her words were like a slap. A week ago, we were tangled on her couch, kissing like the world was ending. Now, she couldn't even look at me? I exhaled sharply. Well, that's a problem, Angie, because I'm not leaving until we talk. Please, just go. No. Silence. Then the lock clicked. The door opened an inch, just enough for me to see her. Her dark brown eyes looked exhausted, rimmed with smudges of sleepless nights. She wasn't dressed to impress tonight. No heels, no perfect makeup, just an oversized t-shirt and leggings. But somehow, she looked more real than ever. She hesitated. I don't know if this is a good idea. I leaned against the doorframe. Neither do I, but I think we should find out. She swallowed hard. Then, as if something inside her crumbled, she stepped aside and let me in. Inside, the place felt smaller than I remembered, like the walls had shrunk with the weight of whatever she was keeping inside. The living room was dimly lit, the scent of lavender candles lingering in the air. A half-finished glass of wine sat on the coffee table, next to a book she clearly hadn't been reading. Angela wrapped her arms around herself and leaned against the couch. You shouldn't be here, Nick. Then why did you let me in? She looked away. I sat down, stretching my legs out. All right, let's cut the bullshit. You kissed me, Angela. You wanted that just as much as I did. I know, she whispered. Then why run? She closed her eyes, exhaling through her nose. Because it's not that simple. I studied her, waiting. She didn't offer more. Look, Angie, I've been through enough games to last me a lifetime. So if this is some kind of mind trick, it's not, she interrupted, her voice sharp. She looked at me then, and for the first time, I saw it. The fear behind her walls. I care about you, Nick. I do. But I've been keeping something from you, and I don't know if I can tell you without ruining everything. I sat forward. Try me. Angela hesitated, fingers gripping the hem of her shirt like she needed something to hold on to. Then, finally, she spoke. This is about Jenny. The name hit me like a cold wind. I clenched my jaw. What about her? Angela bit her lip, looking torn between wanting to tell me everything and wanting to shove it back down. She's not happy, Nick. I scoffed, leaning back. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you leave your husband for another man. Angela flinched. It's not that simple. I laughed bitterly. You keep saying that. She rubbed her arms, exhaling. Alec wasn't who she thought he was. He was charming at first, but after a while, things changed. He got controlling, then angry, and then… She trailed off, but I caught the meaning. Alec had hurt her. For a moment, I didn't say anything. I stared at the flickering candle on the table, watching its flame twist and writhe. Jenny, my wife, the woman who had ripped my heart out and fed it to another man. And now, she was suffering. I should have felt nothing. But I did. Not love, not longing. Just a bitter, aching sadness for what we used to be. Angela watched me closely. She regrets leaving you, Nick. She wants to come back. My jaw tightened. And let me guess, she sent you to test the waters for her. Angela shook her head quickly. No, at first maybe, but she broke off, looking away. I frowned. But what? She swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. But then I fell for you. The words settled between us like a storm cloud. She didn't move, didn't breathe, as if waiting for me to reject her, to call her a liar, to storm out and never look back. But I didn't, because deep down I already knew. I stood up, walking over to her. Angie, I murmured, look at me. She did, slowly. I reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I don't love Jenny anymore, I said, my voice steady. I love what we had, but that's gone. Her breath hitched. Nick! I tilted her chin up. What about us? Tears filled her eyes, but this time, she didn't run. She didn't hide. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't the end. This was the beginning. Angela sat across from me, curled into the corner of her couch, hugging a throw pillow to her chest. The apartment was dimly lit, casting soft shadows on the walls, and the only sound was the distant hum of her refrigerator. She wouldn't look at me. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees. Angela, talk to me. She sighed heavily. I don't even know where to start. Start with why you kissed me like you meant it, then ran like hell. She flinched. Her fingers tightened around the pillow. Because I did mean it. My chest tightened. Then why did you pull away? Angela chewed on her bottom lip. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the war waging inside her. Finally, she spoke. This started as something else, Nick. Something I didn't plan for. I clenched my jaw. What does that mean? She took a deep breath, then exhaled slowly, as if trying to push something heavy from her chest. I need you to know, first, that I didn't come into this with bad intentions. I missed you. That's real. The way I feel about you, that's real too. But the reason I showed up that first day, the reason I came back into your life, it wasn't just me. It was Jenny. At that moment, the room seemed to shrink around me. What? My voice came out cold, distant like it wasn't mine. Angela's gaze finally met mine, guilt written all over her face. She wants you back, Nick. I let out a sharp, humorless laugh. You're joking. I wish I was. I shot up from the couch, pacing the length of her small living room. My skin burned, my pulse pounded in my ears. Unbelievable. She leaves me, cheats on me, then what? Decides she made a mistake and wants to rewind time. Angela swallowed. Pretty much. I turned, pinning her with a stare. And you? What? You were sent here to feel me out. To warm me up to the idea? She shook her head, eyes glistening. At first, maybe, but it wasn't like that, Nick. I swear. I let out a bitter laugh. Enlighten me, then. Angela hesitated, then folded her legs beneath her, pulling herself upright as if bracing for a storm. After Jenny left, we barely talked. She and Alec were living in some fancy downtown apartment, and I assumed she was happy. But then about 6 months ago, she called me. She was crying. Angela's voice wavered, and for the first time, I saw something beyond guilt, pain. She told me Alec had changed, that he wasn't who she thought he was. At first, it was little things, jealousy, control, put her down in front of people. But then one night he snapped. He hit her, Nick. A cold weight settled in my chest. I clenched my fists, every muscle in my body going rigid. I had never wished harm on Jenny, even after what she did, but hearing this, it made my blood boil. She left him after that, Angela continued, voice barely above a whisper. She packed her stuff and went to her sister's place in Cleveland. That's when she started talking about you, regretting everything. She said leaving you was the biggest mistake of her life. That she. Angela broke off, shaking her head. It doesn't matter. I sat back down, staring at the floor. The anger hadn't left, but something else settled in its place. Exhaustion. So she sent you? My voice was flat. No. Angela looked at me fiercely now. I came to you on my own. At first, I thought maybe I'd just check in, see how you were. Maybe I wanted to gauge if there was still something there between you two. But the more time I spent with you, the more I realized. She trailed off. Realized what? Her lips parted, but the words took a moment to come out. That I didn't want you to go back to her. That I wanted you. My breath caught. I didn't expect it, Nick, she continued, voice raw. I never saw you that way before. But then we started spending time together, and it just happened. And that night, when we kissed, I knew it wasn't just some old friendship turning into attraction. It was real, and it scared the hell out of me. Silence stretched between us. I studied her, my mind a tangled mess. The betrayal of Jenny's scheme. The truth of Angela's feelings. The undeniable fact that, despite everything, I wanted her to. So why run? I asked. Tears welled in her eyes, because I felt like I was stealing something that wasn't mine. Like maybe, deep down, you still belonged to her. I exhaled, running a hand down my face. Angela. She shook her head quickly. I know it sounds stupid, but I care about you, Nick. And I couldn't. No, I wouldn't. Let myself be the reason you made the wrong choice. I let her words settle. Jenny was my past, a wound I had stitched up with blood and sweat and time. I had spent months convincing myself I was over her, that I had moved on. And now here she was, trying to pull me back into a life that wasn't mine anymore. But Angela? She had never been part of the plan. And yet, sitting across from her, hearing the way her voice trembled, seeing the way her hands curled tightly in her lap, I realized something. I wanted her in my life, not as a friend, not as Jenny's messenger, but as something real. I reached across the space between us, taking her hands in mine. She looked up, startled. Angela, I said, my voice steady now, sure. I don't belong to Jenny anymore. I don't even think I ever did. Her breath hitched. What about me? She whispered. I tightened my grip on her hands. Let's find out. Angela's confession hung between us like an exposed wire, sparking with tension. I sat still, my heart hammering, as the weight of her words settled over me. Jenny wanted me back. For a moment, my mind flashed back to our early years. Lazy Sundays in bed, road trips with no destination, the way she used to rest her head on my chest and whisper about the future. But then came the fights, the indifference, the way she packed her bags with barely a glance back, chasing after a man she thought was better than me. And now she was drowning, looking for a lifeboat. I wasn't it. I exhaled, steadying my voice. I don't love Jenny anymore, Angela. Her breath hitched. Her fingers curled into the fabric of her oversized t-shirt, as if bracing for impact. Are you sure? I nodded. I loved the memory of us, the idea of what we were. But that's gone. It died the moment she walked out. Angela's dark eyes locked onto mine, searching. For doubt? For hesitation? I wasn't sure. You were never part of my past with Jenny, I continued. You were my friend too. And these last few months? They weren't about her. They were about us. A small, nervous laugh escaped her lips. U.S. She repeated the words softly, as if testing how it tasted. I leaned forward. I need to know, Angie, do you want this? Do you want me? Her hands trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away when I reached out, fingers brushing over hers. Nick, her voice cracked. I thought I was helping Jenny, but then I got caught up in it. I started looking forward to our nights out, to our talks, to you. And that night, when I kissed you, I realized something. She swallowed hard, eyes glossy with unshed tears. I wasn't testing the waters for Jenny. I was testing them for me. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until it escaped in a slow exhale. And a hesitant smile curved her lips. And I think I've been an idiot. I chuckled, squeezing her hand. Well, we've both been idiots then. A charged silence fell between us, but this time, it wasn't heavy with doubt. It was something else, something electric. Angela shifted forward, her face inches from mine. Tell me this isn't a mistake. I shook my head. The only mistake would be walking away now. She closed the space between us, pressing her lips against mine. This time, there was no hesitation, no guilt, just warmth and certainty. Her hands slipped up my arms, fingers gripping my shoulders like she was afraid to let go. I pulled her closer, feeling the way she melted against me. This wasn't desperation. This wasn't filling a void. This was real. When we finally parted, she let out a breathy laugh. So what now? I smirked. Well, I've got a tournament trophy collecting dust in my car, and I'm starving. How about we order pizza and watch a terrible movie? She grinned. Nick, that might be the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. We laughed, and just like that, the past loosened its grip. Jenny was gone, but Angela was here. And for the first time in a long time, I knew I wasn't alone anymore.